Emily gripped the steering wheel tighter as the rain began to fall in thin sheets against the windshield. The headlights cut through the dark Maine woods, but every shadow looked like it wanted to step into the light. Her younger brother Jason sat in the passenger seat, thumbing through his phone, frustrated that they had lost service miles back. GPS says this way gets us to the interstate faster, Emily said, tapping the flickering screen of the car's dash display. The glowing line curved toward an unmarked road on the right. Jason leaned closer. That's not even on Google Maps, it's just blank. Emily forced a small laugh, masking the chill that ran through her. Then maybe it's a secret shortcut. We'll get home quicker. But as she turned down the road, the trees pressed closer, their branches bending low like skeletal arms. The pavement cracked beneath them, weeds splitting through. The air itself seemed heavier. Within minutes, they saw the faint outline of a town that didn't belong, wooden houses sagging with age, lampposts bent and shattered, streets crumbling like bones left in the rain. Coldwater, Jason whispered, reading the rusted sign half buried in vines. Neither of them had ever heard of it. The car sputtered, coughed, and with a final shudder, died at the far end of the street. Emily swore under her breath, trying the ignition again, but it gave nothing except a weak, choking click. Jason stared out the window, wide-eyed. "Look," he said. At the very end of the street stood a massive house, its roof sagging, its windows black, but in the upper floor, one window glowed with the faint light of a lantern. Emily swallowed. At least someone's home. Maybe they have a phone. They stepped out of the car, the rain immediately soaking their clothes, the air colder than it had been a moment ago. Their footsteps echoed unnaturally against the wet pavement, and though the town looked abandoned, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were on them, watching from every window. The porch groaned under their weight as they stepped up to the front door. The wood was soft with rot. Emily lifted her hand to knock, but before her knuckles hit, the door creaked open on its own, sighing like lungs expelling stale breath. "Hello?" She called, her voice sounding too loud in the silence. No one answered. They stepped inside. The smell hit them, first wet earth, mold, and something metallic, coppery. The floorboards whined under each step. Dust drifted in the air, not like dust in an abandoned house, but as though it had just been stirred seconds ago. Family portraits lined the hallway. Emily stopped, staring. The faces looked wrong. The eyes bulged wide, too alive, the mouth stretched. Open and frozen screams. She could almost hear the breathless terror in their throats. Jason tugged her sleeve. Their eyes are moving." Before she could look closer, a whisper drifted through the walls. Low at first, a hiss of wind, then clearer, words almost recognizable. Her name, Emily. Her blood ran cold. Jason pressed his ear against the wallpaper. The wall felt warm, pulsing like skin. Then something scraped inside, long claws dragging from within. The wallpaper tore in a sudden burst, and a bloody fingernail punched through, snapping off at the base. Jason leapt back, but the hole widened, more fingers clawing out raw, skinless digits leaving streaks of blood. Emily grabbed Jason's arm, pulling him toward the staircase, but the whispers grew louder. The walls themselves seemed to breathe. The portraits rattled on their hooks, and from one of the painted mouths came a wet trickle of blood, dripping down the canvas. They bolted up the stairs. The hallway above twisted like a maze, doors shifting when they blinked, each one leading them in circles. Emily's heart pounded as the whispers turned into chants, dozens of voices layered together, chanting her name again and again. Jason fell behind, his sneakers slipping on the blood-soaked carpet. He screamed, and Emily turned just in time to see him yanked backward. Hands had shot from the wall, pale and long-fingered, dragging him into the plaster like water swallowing a stone. His face contorted in terror as his fingernails ripped free, left embedded in the wallpaper as he vanished. Jason! Emily shrieked, pounding at the wall with her fists. Blood smeared beneath her hands as something inside the wall crunched and snapped. She stepped back as Jason's face appeared in the portrait above her, eyes wide, mouth screaming silently, fresh blood dripping from the painted frame. Her stomach heaved, but she forced herself to move, stumbling down another hallway. Every door she opened revealed rooms filled with horrors. One held dozens of bodies, suspended from the ceiling by hooks, their skin stripped away to show glistening muscle. Another room contained children's toys arranged in neat rows, each toy soaked through with dark stains. A pile of tiny shoes in the corner. The whispers followed her, now with laughter mixed in, childlike and cruel. She ran into what looked like a bedroom. The lantern from the window pulsed on the dresser, its glow not a flame but a beating heart, fleshy and wet, squeezed inside the glass. The sight rooted her to the floor. Then the heart flared, and shadows poured from it, coiling across the floor toward her feet. The shadows solidified into a mass of flesh, faces merging and separating, eyes blinking open across every inch. Mouths gaped, screaming, chewing, vomiting streams of blood that hissed as they hit the wood. The mass crawled toward her, dragging itself with dozens of arms that ended in sharpened bone. She backed away, slipping in the spreading blood. Her hand smacked the floor, her palm sliding through something warm and sticky. She looked down and saw it wasn't blood, it was intestines coiled like ropes, spilling from the ceiling beams where torsos hung, swaying gently as though in a breeze. A sharp pain stabbed into her ankle. She screamed, looking down to see claws bursting through the floorboards, tearing her skin. Blood gushed as they dug deeper, scraping bone, pulling her down. She clawed at the carpet, her fingernails snapping off, spraying droplets of blood as she fought. She screamed for Jason again, but his voice came from the walls, muffled, broken, begging. "Emily, help me. Please." She looked up at the nearest portrait. Jason's mouth moved now, his tongue writhing, blood trickling from the corners. His eyes were alive, darting in terror. The claws yanked harder, dislocating her ankle. With a wet crack, she howled, dragging herself forward, but the mass of flesh had reached her. It enveloped her legs, faces biting into her thighs, teeth sinking, ripping chunks of skin. The pain was electric, every nerve screaming, blood pumping. Out in hot waves, her hand slapped against the lantern on the dresser, and she grabbed it, desperate. The heart inside beat faster, violently, as if aware of her touch. She smashed it against the floor. The glass shattered, and the heart rolled free, spurting blood across her face. For a second, silence fell. Then the house roared, every portrait screamed in unison, a deafening howl that rattled the walls. The ceiling split open, and from it rained organs, lungs, hearts, kidneys, slapping weightly onto the floor. Emily tried to crawl, but the blood was too thick, the intestines wrapping around her wrists, pulling her flat. The walls cracked, splitting wide like wounds. From inside poured figures, human shapes without skin, muscles exposed, veins throbbing. They stumbled toward her, mouths gaping. One reached down, its teeth sinking into her shoulder, tearing flesh away in a spray of blood. Another grabbed her hair and slammed her face into the floor, teeth gnawing at her scalp. Her vision blurred. She tried to scream, but only blood bubbled from her lips. Her eyes locked on Jason's portrait one last time. His mouth whispered her name over and over, while blood ran like tears from his eyes. Then the wall behind her tore open. Cold hands wrapped around her torso, yanking her backward. She felt her spine crack as she was pulled through the plaster, through layers of wood and screaming flesh. Her body split, one arm tearing free at the socket, blood splattering the wallpaper. In a starburst, her last breath left her lungs in a shriek that merged with the chanting voices. The house consumed her whole. The lantern went dark. Outside, the rain stopped. The town of Coldwater stood silent, as it always had, erased from maps and memory. The car sat abandoned at the end of the street, its doors open, its seats soaked with rain dot in the window of the house. The lantern flared once more, pulsing. Inside its glass, two faces floated now, Emily and Jason, eyes wide, mouths locked. In eternal screams, forever part of the hollow, Coldwater waited, patient, for the next travelers who dared to take the road that did not exist.
Please like and subscribe channel Fear Frequency for more horror stories. Thank you.